Welcome to the Nitty Gritty. We have Vess Pearson with us today. He's the CEO of Aptive. Vess, thanks for coming, man.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
So it'll be fun. Yeah.
I don't want to cut you off, but Vess. I wanted a little background on the name. It's a different name.
Vessi August Pearson IV is the full name.
Vessi August. So Vessie.
Yep. So it was a family name. It was the firstborn son.
Uh-huh.
And so we made it all the way to number 4. My wife literally fasted and prayed that we wouldn't have a firstborn son because she was not having a fifth. And the good Lord heard her cries and we had a girl. So it is now over.
So what's the tradition behind? I mean, is it just
family?
Is it traditional from
Scandinavians, just family? Okay. My dad, grandpa.
So do you go by? I only know you as Vess. Do people call you Vessi?
People that knew me as a child call me Vessi,
okay.
And people that only know me as an adult call me Vess.
Okay.
I'd call you Vessi August if I was your friend. Maybe by the end of this, I can call you that, or VA.
That works.
But that's more like Veteran Affairs,
yeah.
So I guess that wouldn't work. But yeah, it's a different name. So sorry, I was curious.
Yep, that's it.
Vess, I've known you for a handful of years. When did we meet? Playing basketball? Was it through basketball that we met?
It's been a couple of years playing basketball. Yes.
Living our glory days out and old man basketball in the morning.
Exactly.
So, you've got a fun story though. I know you don't think it's super entertaining, but I know we're gonna have a lot of fun. Well, let's just jump right into it. Aptive Pest Control Company. Let's talk about how you got to where you're at today. So cool. You started just knocking doors, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep. 2006.
2006. So you're from California.
Yep.
How did you first find out about it?
So my little brother, he moved to Provo. He was 17 at the time, and he met one of these door knocking guys. And I still remember it. He grabbed my laptop, and he started looking at BMWs after one meeting.
Your brother did?
Yeah. And he said, I'm going to go sell pest control. And I said, you're an idiot.
How old were you at that time?
I was 22.
Okay.
Yep. I was 22. And so he went off to start selling, and I stayed back at BYU. I was taking math 119 in the spring, and I called him every day like, hey, Drew, how's it going? He's like, oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. I did this. I did that. I'm thinking kind of, beginner's luck. You just got a lot of energy. You're making some sales. It's not going to last. So about a weekend, I call him and he's pissed, super angry. And I'm just thinking, yeah, I told you, man. I'm like, what's up? I'm like, what are you mad about? He's like, yeah, I only sold 2 today. And I said, okay, well, how much did you make? He's like, I probably made $260. And I'm like, wait, I'm working in the ASB building at BYU. I made $64 today in 8 hours.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I was like, I better go try this because this is actually working for him. So I dropped out of my class, went home. We got to sell out of our hometown in Corona, and sold, did really well, and one thing kind of led to another.
So, you just joined through the summer.
Yep. I just joined so about the beginning of June. So then I worked June, July, August. The next year I did well. So the next year I came and I led a team and did well. Then I, had a few teams.
Who was the company?
It's called Moxie.
Oh, it was with Moxie.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And that was Dave.
That was Dave.
Right.
Yep. My now business partner. So he founded Moxie, and we did that for, 3 years. And then he said, you know what? I want to go and expand into maybe some locations where Moxie already is. So he sold his portions of Moxie, and we did Eco First, built that for 3 years. And then we did Altera, did that for 4 years.
So you had sold, managed the next year.
Yep.
And then ran multiple teams
the next year,
the following year.
Yep.
And then Dave's like, all right, you and I are going to go partner.
So Eco First, I wasn't a partner at
Okay.
that point. I was kind of like our president of sales,
Okay.
just building teams, growing us. So yeah, we did that for 3 years. Then Altera, we became partners and built that for 4 years. And sold it in 2015, and now we're 3 years in at Aptive.
So who are you selling to?
So we sold to Terminix every time. Every time that we sold, we kind of build up a customer base, and then it's called an asset purchase. They would take on the customers. And the amazing thing is we got to keep the infrastructure. So all of the people, the buildings, the locations. So even though we sold and we were starting over, we were only starting over from a customer count standpoint. So every new company, we really are just, picking up where we left off.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you're just selling the contracts, but your infrastructure stays in place.
Everything else.
And there's
stays
no
the same.
non-compete. There's no you can't start something else.
We can't switch over Terminix customers for 5 years.
Okay.
But that's, not a big deal
Sure.
to us. So everything else we
very
just go do
cool.
the same.
It's funny. Cam and I both actually have door-to-door experience. I was for about 5 years. I was never good at it. That's why I'm not in it anymore.
Must have been all right if you lasted 5 years.
Well, it was one of those things every year. It's like, nah, I'm not doing that again. And then the next year it'd roll around and it was, well, what else are you going to do?
Exactly.
And funny enough, the summer I got engaged, I actually went down to Temecula and sold for Dave at Moxie.
Really?
So my manager, if you remember the name Joey Toon.
Oh, I know Joey
or
well.
Mike Fleming.
Mike Fleming's a good friend of mine.
So I was good buddies with those guys.
Yeah.
Joey was engaged and getting married that summer. I was getting married later in the summer. And Joey was like, hey, come hang out in California for a couple of months. I'm going to leave early to get married. You can just take off when I leave.
Yep.
And you can hang out in Southern California. So actually,
done.
Yeah. So I went out and sold Moxie for a couple of months. I mean, I went and worked with Dave.
Was that in 2005?
2007.
Oh, so that I was there.
Yeah. So it was
We
2000.
crossed paths and we didn't know.
Wow.
So, yeah. Anyways, kind of funny. And then you were there for what, 9 years? Not
Yeah.
Moxie, but you did alarms.
Yeah, Pinnacle. I did Pinnacle for about 9 years, mostly Chicago. I did Temecula one summer,
Yeah.
Washington, but
Cool.
so I never wanted leadership roles. I was a manager, but I was the guy that's like, okay, I'm going to sell too, and I'll be at the movies. And so I look back now and kind of regret it because I was pretty good at it. I could sell pretty well, but I have to have something to incentivize me to do that. So yeah, but it's a tough game, but I still draw from the door-to-door experience. People sometimes it gets a bad rap around here just because everyone does it. But I still speak very highly of the door-to-door game. I think it's an amazing. It was an amazing opportunity for me. So
I feel like everyone should at least try it because
sure.
you're either good at it and it can open doors that you could never find otherwise, or you're not good at it and you learn stuff about yourself and about life and you want to do something else. But is it kind of weird, or was there ever challenges becoming partners with Dave when, you were his employee and now are partners? Was there ever any stress or tension along the way with that, where maybe he didn't treat you like a partner sometimes in the beginning because he maybe still looked at you as an employee?
that'd be a tough dynamic to overcome.
Yeah, it would. It would be really hard.
Yeah.
Because it's been over a long period of time and there's been an evolution with every addition or every new company, my role has
Increased,
expanded.
right.
So it hasn't been 0 to 100. So over time, I've been able to gain more and more of his trust.
Yeah.
To where when we did Aptive, I had his full trust. And so with every good partnership, there is professional tension and there's some, conversations and a little bit of going back and forth. But the beauty behind my partnership with Dave is it's never personal. It's
Right.
never unprofessional. It's never mean-spirited. It's always productive. And because we're able to have that type of dialogue, we can always end up in a place we're both comfortable with and a place that's, right for the company.
That's
Very
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, because I do think that would be kind of hard to do sometimes. Another thing is I have a lot of friends that are either in the industry or have been in the industry, and I don't think many of them could run the size of organization that you're running. So it's not like this common thread to start on the doors and work your way into ownership. most of the guys that are really successful on the doors are really good on the doors, but man, they are scatterbrained, not very organized, you know.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about you.
Jeez. We're like the perfect employee for summer sales. They're like, they don't want anything. They just want to go out and do their job, make us money.
But it's not normal for them to grow into this. So what about either your past or what you've gone through has kind of prepared you or allowed you to take on the opportunity of being a partner?
I would say consistency. I think from a young age, I've been pretty conscientious. I'm kind of my wife, she laughs at me because she talks to my mom, and I was like the tattletale, kid. Always the one trying to follow the rules.
Always one of them.
Yeah. I'm the guy that like loves rules, that loves structure. And when you can couple that with some sales skills, I think it was a nice mix for me to, continue to grow our sales organization and put enough structure, enough controls around it so that we could scale it to where, now we have over 2,000 reps. We'll put on 270,000 accounts this year. And
wow.
So that consistency and conscientiousness helped a lot. At an early age, I made a pretty outrageous financial goal by the time I was 30 years old. I grew up in a great home, very middle class. We had everything that we needed, but my dad is such that he just stresses like all the time. I mean, he's in the roofing industry, and when there's no rain, he's stressed because no one wants a new roof. And when there is rain, he's stressed because he can't get the work done because it's raining. I'm like, when are you happy?
When do you get to take a breath?
And that's just, how he is. And it was always kind of centered around financial stress. And so at age 10 or 11, I set this goal.
You recognize that at age 10 or 11?
Yeah. That was going to be my question. Like, when you say early age, what is an early age?
10 or 11, I'm
a bad parent. My kids they're off. I have an 11-year-old. She just tries to talk me into wearing makeup every day. She's not thinking about anything else. It's impressive.
It's bizarre, but it is true. And as a result of that goal, like I kind of was zeroed in on it, and I quickly figured out that this job in this industry could get me there. And as a result of that, it kind of shaped the decisions I made, and I was able to do it.
So did you not go through the typical cycle of earn to your brother's point? I mean, he was already buying that BMW before he'd even sold an account.
Exactly.
Leasing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah, they're not going to buy it. I mean, did you experience that, or were you able to kind of tune out the noise because of this 11-year-old self that set the goal?
Yeah, no, I definitely could tune out the noise. Some of that was I was studying accounting at BYU too, and so I was pretty fiscally responsible, and I was just really focused on that, so I didn't need to spend. In fact, I remember early on when I had actually made some pretty good money, one of my regional sales managers, Paul Swenson, I happened to be driving my wife's car. We were only married like 2 years, and it was this old beat up red Saturn that worked, but that ran just fine.
I had an old beat up red Saturn. I called it Saturn Racing.
Awesome. Yes. Well, this Saturn's name was Sally. So he comes walking up to Sally, and he kind of gives it, like he looks it up and down, and he leans in. I still remember he's on the passenger side, puts his head through the window, and he goes, "Hey, Vess, you can do a little bit better than this for Angie, I think." And the funny thing is, in my mind, like I had never even considered that.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, no, this is great. This works fine. Shortly thereafter, though, I took his advice and, did a little bit better for Angie. So
That's awesome. So did you notice early on when you were selling, because, I think back to my 9 years, and the most I ever really aspired to was managing, just to start making some overrides. But at what point when you were selling did you kind of see like, hey, we are mostly all kind of sales robots in that game. Like we just want to sell, get our back end, make some money. But did you notice I can go further and really get up there and kind of take advantage of how I am as far as like being an accountant and being goal oriented and being structured. And how early was it into your career where I could take over a little bit?
That's the brilliance of my partner, Dave, is he was visionary early. After my second year, I was planning on going to law school, and he said, "Oh no, stick with me. We can really, we can build something." And I remember our first goal, the first thing he put out in front of me was, if we can get to this size, we can get our own building with a basketball court. I'm like, oh,
right.
That'd be sweet. Let's do that. And then it was, hey, no company's ever put on more than 42,000 accounts in a summer for pest control. I'm like, oh, all right, let's do that. So we did that. And then it was, hey, you know what? Like, how cool would it be if we got to 100,000 accounts? I think, yeah, let's do that. So we go and execute. And then the next thing was, well, what if we got to 100 million in revenue? Like, yeah, let's do that. So we go and execute. So he was always giving me a carrot to chase every 3 years, which frankly, like, I'm not naturally super visionary. I can execute. I'm disciplined. He was much more visionary. He's kind of taught me to be visionary and to, elevate what I, thought was possible. But that's kind of how, you go from a 1 branch Moxie to a 39 branch Aptive. It's just that he kept on giving me carrots to chase every about 3 years or so.
So at what point did he kind of pull you out? I mean, obviously he saw something in you. How many, maybe there were a lot of reps, maybe there weren't, but I mean, at what point did he kind of start maybe grooming you?
It was actually after my second summer where he said, hey, like, I think you should skip law school and I want you to.
That's a big ask.
Yeah.
That's a big ask.
After doing it for 2 years?
Yep.
I mean, I would have said, yeah, sure, that's fine. I would have said that after 7th grade, but.
So he said after 2 years, why don't you stick with me? And at that point, I'd been successful. I'm like, well, like, I'm making great money. There's a clear vision here, and just kind of went with it and ran.
Yeah, you must think pretty highly of him. I mean, that you must have a lot of faith in him. That's because you obviously are a very intelligent person and a very goal-oriented person. So to have somebody to ask you to, like, get off your path.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big deal.
Was it hard?
It wasn't hard because I believed, like, in him so much. Where I looked at everything that Dave touched seemed to work. And so I felt safety, sticking with Dave and working with Dave. So that made it much easier.
Did he give you any kind of safety net? Like, hey, if this doesn't work, I still got your back, or anything like that?
No. And I just think that it not working didn't really cross my mind because we had already made it work for many years. So why wouldn't it continue to work moving forward?
You already learned the success, like the recipe of it, right?
Right, exactly.
Well, it sounds like you guys make a great team because, I don't think any great company works with just one person. Like you said, the visionary thing, I have great ideas, but if I can't go golfing, I'm not going to execute those ideas. So it is really cool. I mean, obviously you are a very smart person, but it sounds like when you know you want to do something, you do it. And like you said, visionary executor is the wrong word.
Implementer.
Right?
Yeah. Isn't that the book Traction? The two done. People.
Exactly.
So it's just, I mean, it's obviously, it's kind of a match made in heaven. It sounds like
it's gone really well.
Okay. I know the industry well enough to know that it's not an easy road to get there. I want to hear some of the kind of the behind the scenes story. So as you were going through this, I can't imagine there wasn't a time when another company didn't come and try to offer you a whole bunch of money to go somewhere else and do something else.
Yeah, I mean, early on, I was offered over 7 digits to leave. I actually didn't even respond to the offer because I had decided I was going to do this. And so
obviously that wasn't because of money. I mean, you were driving the Saturn way longer than you should have.
Exactly.
So that was because of vision and trust and belief. And it's not like I'm super loaded. I don't need the money.
This was before I had made a good amount of money even. I'd done well, but I hadn't sold a company well. But I knew what I wanted, and it wasn't just to go and make a quick buck, but to really build something.
That's impressive.
So when was the time, or has there been a time, I guess, when you almost didn't get through it? I mean, there's got to be a couple of times throughout this journey where it was like, ugh.
Throw the clipboard in the street.
Yeah.
F this.
I'm going to go to CVS and I'm going to sit in an air-conditioned room for a little while. But for you, as you're growing the company, whether it's, I mean, I know how cutthroat the recruiting game is.
Yeah.
And your industry is built off of kind of building teams and leadership and kind of, I don't know if grooming is the right word, but training guys in the culture and how you do things.
Retaining them.
And I've watched guys leave companies, and I've watched what it's done to the company they left, and I've watched it work or not work out. I mean, was there a point where, I don't know, if someone was either recruiting hard, you lost one of your top leaders or something like that?
So back in late 2014, we got in a little bit of a large recruiting battle with a pretty big company that has much deeper pockets, than what we had. And they went at us hard. At the same time, my little boy, Hayes, was in the hospital, very, very sick, in the PICU at Primary Children's. And this company was literally trying to put us out of a business. They made that known. So I was doing meetings in the middle of the night, literally 3 or 4 in the morning, because I understood urgency, really mattered. It's like, let's just figure this out right now. You just got out of this meeting with this other company. Come over right now. I was at the hospital during the day, so that wasn't really an option. And so the funny thing is, despite all of that, we lost 2 reps and retained everybody else. And I think that our people just felt kind of my intensity and it's like, hey, I'll fight. I won't give in. And we were able to get through it. And as a result, we haven't lost any meaningful leader in my history. We've lost some managers. Never lost a regional manager, though, or anyone like that.
Now, when you say your son was sick, he wasn't just like, I'm going to cough sick. He was sick.
He was sick. So he, when he was 1, he swallowed callus remover.
Oh my gosh.
The stuff
Right.
that removes these things.
Oh.
And you can imagine what that did to his esophagus. Basically turned it into a rope. And so he would drink a bottle and it would puddle, liquid couldn't get down. You can kind of fix it though. What they do is they put a balloon down your esophagus, pump it up and try to expand it. And he's had that done now, 70 or 80 times.
Oh.
But maybe the 4th or 5th time, the surgeon goes down, and it's a blind surgery. They pricked his stomach. And so, we take him home, and my wife calls me. She's like, something's wrong with Hayes. He's banging his head against his bed in so much pain. He's, I think, 14 months. And I'm like, all right, well, take him to primaries. I'll meet you up there. So they can't figure out what's wrong. He's turning purple as the day goes on. And at one point, they come in and they give him a shot. And he's, just a little over 1. You know how kids normally react to a shot.
Right.
No reaction. I'm like, he's really sick. And so they finally come in. They say, you know what? We got to take him. We're going to cut him open in the chest. We're going to see what's going on. If we don't find anything, we're going to break his ribs. And we're going to search his stomach. And I'm at that point, I'm still like, okay, he's really sick, but I hadn't really put together no, he's really sick. And I'm with his surgeon and the anesthesiologist, and they take Hayes away, and the anesthesiologist says, you're in a life and death situation right now. We don't know if he'll make it. And then they took him for 5 hours. And
oh my gosh.
And we were just in the waiting room, and I would just pace back and forth for 5 hours. And what had happened is, because they punctured his esophagus when he drank a bottle, that created a septic situation in his body. And so, after about a week in the PICU and a couple more weeks in the hospital, we were slowly able to stabilize him. And, 5 or 6 years later, he's healthy, plays soccer and basketball, and he's a great boy. But while that was going on, I was in this huge, battle with this other company. And I feel like it taught me, like, you can prevail despite the circumstances. It might be hard, but pretty much anything's possible if you want it. So
unbelievable.
How did you keep people? I mean, how in the world?
How did you work?
Yeah, like, how are you doing that?
I mean, like, take a phone call, like, I want more money, Beth. It sucks. I'm like, no, let me tell you what sucks.
Exactly.
It's like, my life is hard. No, your life's not hard.
But you can't let them know. It's not like you can tell everybody. Like, I mean, that's nuts.
For me, it's about helping people understand that I don't want them to work for me and be a martyr. We just got to figure it out. So what's missing? What do you need? What do we need to fix? And let's just fix it. There's always a solution, almost always. There's very rarely not a solution. So as I'd have these conversations, like, well, why are you thinking about going? All right, well, let's just fix that here. I can work with that. And, just kind of one by one. And there's obviously, I have an advantage because I've already got a relationship.
Right.
They like me. This is a new company. They weren't a new company. These are new people.
New relationships.
So the combo of already having a relationship and them understanding, yeah, Vess is workable. Let's just figure it out.
How often was it just around money? I mean,
it's always around money in our industry.
Always about money.
I mean, allegedly, you can always make more money somewhere else, right?
I guess what I mean is not around money. I think the deciding factor for why they stayed, I would guess, goes beyond money.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's trust, there's believing in our vision. Obviously, money's a factor wherever you work. So a whole bunch of things. The biggest thing probably being the relationship.
Yeah.
Though.
So how do you cultivate these genuine relationships when too many people I know or that I see, they just kind of see their reps or managers as like walking dollar signs, right? Sure. It's like, go out and replace you, bring some new ones coming in. I mean, how do you? It's not an industry that breeds trust.
No.
There's not a lot of people that trust each other in there. Right. And so how do you do that?
That's a great question. For me, I think that our people know that, like, I'm not using them, right? That we're a team and that I have a platform that they can use and that I can, work with them to go and build something greater. Over the years, I feel like I've been good at listening, not being reactionary. And so our industry is known for like hard closes and aggressiveness and let's do this right now and all those things. And that's just not me. I try to listen and really understand what they need, what they're looking for. And I'm not perfect at it. On top of that, we've had tremendous success. It's easy to retain your people when you're doing really, really well. And it's scary to leave, right? If you're already in a good situation. If you're not having tremendous success, well, your relationship will only take you so far. So you've got to have some success and establish a relationship to really retain people, and we've been able to do that.
Well, and I think, one thing that kind of stands out to me, I've never met you before. I think everybody that's listening has friends or acquaintances in the summer sales game. And the first thing that really jumps out to me about you is you're really the exact opposite of what you would expect someone in your position to be. You're unassuming, you're humble, you're obviously very bright, but you don't have that, let's sit down and look at the BMW type of way about you. And so many people, even in the highest, levels of some of these big companies, they just have like a douchiness about them. You know what I mean? For lack of a better word. You don't have to edit that. You can leave that in there.
Yeah.
And, you can tell that, I'm sure you were raised right. You've got values. But from what I've seen of you so far, it would be hard to leave somebody like you if you were my leader, just based solely on really how you carry yourself. And I think that plays a big part in, the money, the success is big too, but there are leaders that create a certain kind of sense of security just naturally. And, not everyone that listens to this is going to watch the YouTube, but, I didn't know what to expect when he came in here. And so I think that's a big thumbs up to you. That's a big deal. So you can think partially you're a stressful dad, right?
Exactly. No,
you're stressed out dad. That had to play a part in it.
I appreciate that. And we certainly try to, have strength and humility, right? You can be a powerful, productive person
Absolutely.
That's humble as well.
Yeah. That's awesome. It's funny. Cam did. He was like, because I just told him, hey, Vess is going to come on today. And he's like, he's in pest control. I was like, really?
I typed your name in last time. I'm like, wait, pet? I saw Aptive Environmental. I'm like, wait, what is that? And I clicked. I'm like, pest control. And you think I'd be like, I spent a lot of time in the summer sales game, and I've got so many close friends, and there are so many amazing people in the industry. But of course, I'm just as guilty as everybody else. It's like, oh, here we go.
I get it.
And so it is a total breath of fresh air.
Well, thank you.
Vess, what's your favorite advice that you didn't listen to?
I have a few. People talk a lot about work-life balance,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like they get it wrong a lot of the time. For example, if you are trying to be a doctor and you're in medical school, you can't have work-life balance. You better be working
Right.
a lot.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to build a business like I've been trying to build for 13, 14 years now, there are things that you put on the altar if you want to achieve what you're really going for. Now, there are certain things in your life that have to take priority, and we all know what those things are for ourselves. I believe more, though, in a work-life balance lifetime.
Okay, I'm going to pause you. What are those things for you?
So, you got to be there for, bedtime for Harper, me putting her to bed. Like, you have to do that. Like, she loves that. Like, that bedtime, routine, like, it just has to happen. You can't consistently miss that. I won't miss a Hayes soccer game. I won't miss a Hayes basketball game. I won't miss a Harper dance recital.
I think it's important that you say that. I think a lot of people look at work-life balance as, I got to have my free time. We never talk about soccer games, putting kids to bed. Like, in a sense, that is a balance. Like, we all need to kind of sit back and say, man, if I get to put my kids to bed every night, like, that's the same as going golfing or going on vacation. Like, that's something to be really grateful for.
And I will say, I'm one of those people that has to have fun time, though.
Oh,
like,
sure.
I exercise every day. I golf consistently.
Wait, you said fun time.
Play basketball.
Well, if you watched Vess exercise, you know why it would be fun.
Oh, okay.
He spends
Like
most of the time
jumping
just
jacks,
talking. He just
cartwheels.
talks.
It's
He
more
just
talk.
Okay.
Most people try to raise their heart rate. I try to keep mine as low as possible.
Right. It's more
during the
meditative.
workout. Yeah, exactly.
smart.
But no, like, you need to have a balanced lifetime. There's a season for everything. And generally early in life, early in your career, you're going to be more focused on work.
Yep.
And you're just not going to be as home as much. But you might transition later to where that scale kind of changes and you're home more and work kind of, takes a back seat.
I love that you brought that up. It's something that I think about. It's something I strive for. And the word I replace balance with is harmony.
Yep.
Work-life harmony.
Exactly.
Because with the balance, in my head at least, I think of a scale. And it's like, if you're doing this here to balance it out, you better be doing that same amount on the other side. So to your point about working or family time or having fun, it's never going to be the same amount of hours per se. But you can find that harmony depending where you're at and what stage of life that works to where you know what's important to you, bedtime, what kids' games or whatever that is to you, and you make that a priority.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to necessarily mean I'm going to be home for 8 hours today because I worked for 8 hours.
Right.
But I have this and I find this harmony. And as you get older and as work changes or as you sell a business, that's always going to change. But you have to continually kind of find that harmony.
Absolutely. Another thing that always kind of makes me cringe when I hear it is work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
I want to change that to work smarter and harder. Because a lot of times when I hear people say work smarter, not harder, I look at the people that say it and they're just lazy. And it's
But I use that to not knock doors at my mission. Jeez.
It's just
Vess.
it's just an excuse. Now, that doesn't mean don't try to do things as efficiently and with as much intelligence as you possibly can, but think about how powerful you can be if you just do both.
Right.
Yeah.
You work smart and hard, and I just believe that God put us on earth to like work and to work hard, because you think about your life, whenever you've really put in a long day, you generally feel really good at the end of it. And there's just a euphoria that comes, and too many people miss out on that because they don't push, enough, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I think sometimes, I mean, I don't want to be a total contrarian because you're a total success, but I think sometimes we also feel, well, I look at the door knock. We'll bring up door knocking.
Okay.
I hate to go too far. We're in Utah, yeah, so we always bring up Utah subjects, but knocking doors on it. Well, let's just say knocking doors. It's a numbers game. Let's say knocking doors in your industry.
Yep.
There are a lot of guys that they don't really focus on the door. They focus on the numbers, right?
Yep.
And it's just a numbers game. And so, but I also feel like there's a certain point, at least this is how it works for me, where, I grew up, my dad's a really hard worker. And so there are times where I'm like, if I don't have to work that hard that day, I would feel guilty about it. Like I'm lazy. And, I read a really interesting book by Jen Sincero. It's called, what's it called? I'll have to look it up. But it talks more about making sure that you do give yourself time off and not feeling guilty about it. And it is an interesting balance because, you do want that euphoria from working hard, but you also don't want to kick yourself for not working hard sometimes too.
And I actually, you're not being a contrarian. I agree with you wholeheartedly, because if you know yourself, you know that in order to work hard, the smart part of that is you need a break that day.
Right.
And so I don't disagree with that. It's about knowing what you need in order to maximize what you're trying to do. And I'm the same thing. I have to have fun time, and I carve it out and I schedule it out. And if you really look at how many hours there are in a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Well, let's take one day. Say you sleep 8 of those hours. Okay, you're down to 16. Then you work another 8 of those hours. You're down to 8. You have 8 discretionary hours to do stuff. Like there's enough time to do everything.
It's a lot of time. Yeah, it's a very interesting way to look at it. That would make me feel even lazier though if I did that.
It's funny because, to your point, everyone just kind of finds their path. But I also think that working harder isn't just doing what everyone tells you to do, right? You have to be willing to push back a little bit. You have to be willing to do it a different way.
Yep.
You guys have built Aptive, it's not the traditional business. Your scale and your growth is by no means normal for the business world, right? And so you've got to be willing to do that, but it requires the work to go into it. Let's talk about some of the fun stuff, though.
Cool.
You've done some really cool stuff. I know Cam specifically had something he wanted to ask you about.
Well, I just saw the list.
Yeah.
From my very prepared co-host, Andrew Van Buren. See, we're yin and yang, too. We're like you and Dave, right?
Yep.
I just kind of show up, but he does all the
You use
planning.
the natural talent. He's got to put in a little more time.
Hey, see? That's a big compliment. Okay. Natural talent.
It's true.
Well, I was just reading through this list that he provided, and I saw a story about golfing with Tiger Woods. And I, of course, the 20 other questions just went blurry for me. So, I mean, you see my Sports Illustrated just sitting right
I've
here
been
on
staring
top.
at it the whole time.
I was there on Sunday when it happened.
That's amazing.
It was.
I considered it.
Oh my gosh, amazing! So, anyways, I'd love to hear the story behind that.
So, this last February, I played in the Wednesday Pro-Am at the Hyundai Genesis Open.
Wow.
In Pacific Palisades at Riviera Country Club with Tiger. 18 holes. Me, Tiger, a South Korean billionaire car guy, and then another guy that won a poker tournament at Tiger's Tiger Jam charity event.
Right. Wow.
Yeah, and so it was the 4 of us, and it was It was incredible.
How did you get to do that?
How did that come about?
So that was actually a gift from Dave. He was at a charity event, and for the price of some people's house, you can play golf with Tiger Woods.
Good night.
It was a tax deduction, okay?
Yeah. I know. I can't wait to learn about these tax deductions when I hire a wealth person. Sorry, it's
Andrew's
a little
got
inside.
you.
It's a little, well, you would think, right?
He doesn't got you.
It's a little inside joke on every podcast that I'm still waiting in line at Aventus Wealth. So I'm still waiting. But anyways, yeah.
So it was crazy. I mean, number one, to play in front of Tiger, but then to play in front of a gallery, because
Right.
Tiger's practice rounds are a full gallery. Like, there's
Absolutely.
Tiger's never just on a course just hitting. And so I get up onto I had an awesome practice session on the range, hit it really well. Of course, I get up to number one and like,
Okay, so Vess, you're a good golfer.
I was just going to ask that.
I mean, I'm not being rude. You're not scratch.
no, I'm
You know what
your
I mean?
average golfer.
Like,
yeah.
you're a good golfer, but it's not like you don't hit the occasional off the hosel. I'm going to freaking
Exactly.
shank this
We've
right
played.
in somebody's face.
Exactly. So yeah, number one, I get up and obviously there's a few hundred people. There's Tiger. I hit a duck.
That would be terrifying. I would be so scared of hitting somebody.
Yep, duck hook left about 175. Kept it in play. And I just thought, oh my goodness.
I think that's a win. You found your ball.
Exactly.
If it's in play, that's a win.
I had my ball. But then something crazy happened. Like, somehow, some way, I probably had one of the top 3 golf days of my life. From that point forward, I think it was like the gallery in Tiger. It like gave this extra focus. There was one hole where Jared Goff, the quarterback
yeah.
for the
Rams,
just played in the Super Bowl 2 weeks before. I
He
chip
didn't
in.
deserve it, but go ahead.
Yeah. I know. Saint, I feel like, I see some Saint stuff around here, but I chip in from 35 yards.
Whoa.
And Jared Goff comes running up to me because he's following our group. He's inside the ropes. Double high five. I'm getting a fist pump from Tiger.
Oh, my gosh.
Then the next hole, I'm in the left side I'm in the rough on the left side. There's this big tree. And once again, it's Tiger. So there's a gallery. And I look back at the gallery. I'm going to have to hit this wicked hook that I don't even have any business actually trying. But, why not? So I look back at the gallery. I'm like, guys, there's a tree right there. Like, I'm putting a high probability that I'm going to hit it off the tree and it's going to bounce backwards.
Heads up.
Heads up. So I go and I take the shot, and this is all video documented, and I hit this crazy hook around this tree that goes onto the green, and the gallery gives me this loud ovation. It's just crazy. Then
Unreal.
I can't even imagine that.
well, and
Just
here,
that. I mean, even like, let's forget the Tiger thing for a second. Like, just having Tiger's gallery, uproar for you.
yeah. Well, and then
Holy crap.
the best thing is I have a video with Tiger telling me, "Great shot." I'm over on the right side of the fairway. I was a little erratic with the driver, I guess. Every story is me being in the rough behind trees.
It just makes for a better story.
Right.
But I'm now on the right side.
Tiger's.
I'm about 140 out. There's these low-hanging branches, and then there's a bunker protecting the front. Normally 140 I hit like a 9-iron. I can't hit 9-iron, so I'm like, I got to take 6-iron because I got to keep it under the tree. But then there's the bunker. I'm like, well, this is going to for sure just go shoot through the green. Somehow, some way, Tiger's just behind me. I take this shot, and I hit this low, soft cut that goes under the tree, balloons up in the air, bounces twice on the green, stops. And Tiger goes, "Great shot."
Oh, my gosh.
Nice shot.
That's my boy right there. That's my boy right
And so then we get to the green. I'm about 20 feet for birdie.
Like, do you really mean that?
Yeah, exactly. We get to the green about 20 feet for birdie. Tiger's right behind me because he's he's practicing for the various pin locations.
Right.
So he would putt in, and then it was business for him.
Sure.
You know, we're kind of still lining up our putts, and he had his
caddies throwing out
tees, and
Right.
he's going to different spots. So he's kind
Joe
of walking
LaCava,
behind
by
me.
the way, everybody.
Who's a really nice guy.
Oh man.
Really, really nice guy. So anyway, I walk up, then I nail the freaking birdie putt, get another clap
my
from
gosh.
from the crowd. Tiger, another fist bump. I'm like, is this
Real
Yeah.
life.
It felt fake. It was
What?
was
a
incredible.
Did you just have
story.
like a perma grin on, or were you like, oh yeah?
It's one of those things where when it was over, I was almost devastated, because it's like presidents of nations don't get to do this type of thing. Kanye, I don't know if he gets to play with Tiger. Yeah, I mean, who gets to play with Tiger? And all of a sudden, I was playing
Not only
With
play, but
Tiger.
play well.
and play well. It was I don't know, a blessing from heaven.
That is so cool. I mean,
Well-
did you get pictures and stuff with him?
I'll show you guys a bunch after. Yeah,
Okay.
and these guys don't like pro-ams. They actually hate
Oh,
them.
for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's really annoying for them. And I didn't want to be intrusive, so I didn't, I wasn't chasing Tiger down, trying to ask questions. But when we would find ourselves together on a fairway, which, didn't happen much, although I did outdrive him one time, legit.
Wow.
Yeah, that was telling you, it was a dream day. We would talk, and he was super approachable, very kind. We talked a lot about his injuries. I said, so when do you start your routine? He's like, yeah, 4 hours before my round.
Yeah, I just heard that in a podcast the other day.
Yeah. So before that started getting out, he told me that. I'm like, so 7:00 tee time, you're up at 3. He's like, yes.
Yeah.
He goes through a stretch first, then he eats breakfast, then he lifts like a full, like Brooks Koepka, I'm lifting.
Right.
And then, his normal on the course routine, you throw in breakfast and all that. It's
They
4
said
hours.
that last day at the Masters because they had to bump the tee times
'Cause
so
of the
early.
weather.
Yeah.
Because of the weather, but he said he was up right before 4 in the morning
Yeah.
just to get warmed up for the round.
And his Scotty Cameron putter
Right.
that's been in his bag since 1999. He's
Right.
won 12 of his majors with it. I'm walking down the fairway, and it's like, right next to me.
Oh, my gosh.
This is like, if you're a golfer, this is
You
like
touch
the
it.
golf artifact of all golf
Yeah.
artifacts. I'm like, Tiger, can I hold your putter? He's like, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no.
Real.
So I walked down 17 or 18. I can't remember which hole it was, late in the round, twirling Tiger's putter. And I said, hey, last year you put you stopped using this putter for like 3 tournaments. I'm like, what was up with that? He went off on the most scientific golf answer,
Oh my gosh.
talking about sight lines and, rotations and all this stuff. And then he's like, yeah, basically I just need to put my Scotty in timeout for a minute.
That's crazy. I'd rather have a picture with that than with Tiger.
Yeah.
Like holding that putter.
Exactly.
That'd be a tough choice.
It
Would
would
you rather
be.
like putt once with that putter and get a picture, or get a picture with Tiger?
It's true.
It's
It
a
was
tough
it was crazy.
What a story. Well, let's just wrap this up because I don't really care about anything else after that. I'm just kidding. That is incredible.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And the fact that you kept your nerves in check and
Yeah.
played a good round of golf.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I don't know how it happened. I think focus though. I mean, I guess if you really zero in, you can do better.
That's great. And you can really see it on the tour. You can tell which golfers love playing with Tiger just because I'll never forget. So I've been 2 years in a row now. And the first time I went to the Masters, the first time I went 2 years ago, I only got to go to practice rounds, which I actually kind of prefer. I like.
You can take pictures.
Take pictures. There's less people.
Mm-hmm.
But for some weird reason, they paired up Phil and Tiger for 9 holes. And I kid you not, 90% of the gallery was
there
following those 2 guys.
Absolutely.
And it's just, it would be so hard to play with him. But like a Koepka, I feel like he kind of thrives off of it.
He loves
right?
that extra energy, that pressure.
Right.
He likes the fact that people are counting him out.
Sure.
So
Well, he even said in an interview, he's like, I focus more in majors. He's like, I should probably focus more on normal tournaments too.
Right. What a dude.
I actually really liked what he said in his last major, though.
Right.
Where he's like, okay, yeah, there's 160 people on the field. I already know 80 of them. Like, I'm just going to, yeah, they're just going to, like, not do well. So now we're down to 80.
Yeah.
He's like, and then of those 80, half of them aren't going to play well. So now we're down to 40. You know, and then I forgot what he says next, but he took it down to about 15. So he's like, really, I just look at it as me against 15 guys.
Wow.
Yeah, he just kind of, you know, spliced it up that way. And I'm like, wow, that actually made winning a major feel like manageable in a
He like,
way.
he like broke it down
That's a
so you
very
could do it.
interesting way to look at it.
He's like, yeah, I'm only competing with 15 guys, really.
Wow.
Because half of these guys are going to implode.
I
And I'm
started
just
like,
better than the other half.
right, and he is.
Yeah,
I started liking him more after he dissed his girlfriend on camera.
that was amazing.
When she tried to
Don't
get
mess
her
with the focus.
Instagram kiss, you know, just like, oh, the camera's here, let's kiss. Like, get off
Nope.
of me.
Exactly.
I got to golf today. I don't have time for this.
He probably regretted it later, though.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. What a story. We gotta get a video of that clip. I gotta see that clip.
I'll show
That's a
him.
great shot.
Yeah.
We'll put it up on YouTube.
Yeah, we need to put that, or just that little clip.
Yeah.
We're like,
We'll
check
get
out
it.
our guest this week.
Yeah.
Unreal. So, you know, you talked about, I wrote something down based on what you said earlier, going back to the business side. What's your carrot right now? You know, it seems like you're always working towards something.
Yeah. So we've, you know, in 3 years of Aptive, there's 20,000 pest control companies out there.
Right.
We've grown to number 8 after
Wow.
3 years. And there's a path to get to number 3. So Terminix, they do about 1.8 billion, Orkin's 1.5 billion-ish. And then there's a pretty big gap after that. So 3 or 4 years, we can slide in at number 3. And then we'll you know, go compete for 1 and 2 eventually. So that's kind of the carrot right now. And a few years ago, that seemed outrageous. But now there's a very clear
Right.
path to make that happen. And our executive team is rounding out and we're growing. And so that's the current carrot.
So is there something about your product? I mean, obviously the product's important to you. I mean,
Sure.
as much emphasis as you put on the people and the sales, but is there something that you guys do differently than other people on the product side?
Yeah, so we're trying to be as environmentally responsible as we possibly can. Companies have access to the same products, but
Sure.
certainly they can choose to use more environmentally responsible products. There's something called IPM, which is Integrated Pest Management, which is really educating your customers on things that they can do outside of products to take care of their home. Oh, we just released an app that allows customers to, which this is funny that in our industry, this is actually, you know, in advance, but you can, you know, reschedule your service. You can take care, or you can take pictures of problem areas so that we know. We can communicate through the app. And the thing we're working on right now, because in any service industry, there's a trust issue. Did my guy show up? Did he actually do what he or she said they were going to do?
Yeah, they're just spraying water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know
or
what I mean?
hanging paper, meaning
Sure.
you show up and just put the invoice and drive off.
That's how I feel about the lawn care guys.
Exactly.
Like, why is my lawn not green? Like Stewart's was here, whatever it is,
They,
you know.
they put the little thing in the yard.
And that was it.
This is bull crap.
Right. So what we're developing right now is when our service pro shows up, the customer will be able to see the exact route that they took,
Like, did they walk?
Wow.
and precisely how
That's
long
crazy.
they were at the house, so that the customer can say, oh, wow, he was here. And they take pictures of the trouble areas that they treated in salt. So interestingly enough, we're a pest control company, but we have 30 people on our development team.
Wow.
We have 22 India developers, another 8 people here in the States. And so we're constantly developing technology, both from on a sales side, a customer side, an ops side. And that's kind of the big differentiator
Wow.
between us and even Orkin or Terminix.
That's really interesting. See, if I was a pro, I'd be in one part of the lawn for like an hour. Like, what's going on? Oh, he's playing with your dog. Like, I'm sorry, I got distracted. That's really interesting because that's, my wife is terrified of all things. Well, and even in the restaurant industry, you know, like for us, it's scary because it's like, what chemicals are you using? Like
Exactly.
we've got food here.
Right.
So, I mean, all of that stuff really, really matters. And so, yeah, that's, I mean, obviously you guys are putting as much thought into the product as you are into sales.
Absolutely.
And I think that is so important. So
Do the big boys worry about it as much as you? Does Terminex care about creating an app? I mean, is that even on their radar?
rest on their laurels?
I think that's.
They just rely on their name.
I think that's where we have a competitive advantage. Is we've tried to bring a white collar approach to a very blue collar industry
And innovate.
and innovate. So Terminex, they're kind of known as, if you watch their ads, we're the killers. We're going to go to war against your pests.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Orkin, if you watch their ads, it's a white
It's the
shirt
button-down shirt,
with a
hard
white
hat.
Yeah, and it's like, we're going to think your bugs away. Like, we're smarter, we're more sophisticated. Where the gap in the market is, that we're trying to fill is, we're more environmentally responsible, and it'll be more seamless working with us. We're going to use technology. You're not going to notice us, but we're going to still take care of your problem.
Right.
That's cool. So
We're going to buy your contract.
yeah. Now, let's fast forward a couple of years. Let's say things go as well. You have an exit. What do you do? You and I have talked about this a couple of times. I'm curious, like, what would you build another company? We've talked about, professional sports teams before, not owning them, but you enjoy athletics. You know what I mean?
I'm so, like, in the moment, that thought, it almost seems like, well, when's that actually, going to happen? I love sports, though. And so I would love to start in the sports industry.
Yeah.
What are your sports?
Golf, basketball, baseball, football. In fact, hockey, I don't like watching on TV, but the best sporting events I've ever been to in person were hockey.
That is absolutely
games.
right. I mean, I'm a big hockey fan, but even TV, unless it's playoff hockey is still fun on TV, but it is hard on TV. But that makes me happy to hear you say that. Anyways.
So, I mean, I fantasize of, somehow becoming a GM. I mean, that sounds crazy, but I've always thought, well, what if I show up and I'm like, just give me any job. Like, I'll work for free. You don't have to pay me anything. Just start me anywhere. Just get me in the building.
Right.
And, and let's see what happens. Maybe I sound silly. I've thought about, well, maybe being a sports agent would be cool. I'll study all the CBAs, like, for a couple years and become an expert, and I'm a great salesperson, so I can, like, combine the two, and if I don't have to worry about, like, actually making a ton of money, I just get to hang out with athletes and help them get deals done, then maybe that would be fun.
Okay, so you're the GM for the Jazz. What do you do this offseason?
Yes.
Rubio's out.
Yeah, so as much as I think Rubio's a nice guy, he's got to go. As much as I think Derek Favors is a Jazz man, I think he has I think you maybe sign him and then try to trade him. I think he's got some decent, value. He should be a starter, and he'll never be a star. I feel like the Jazz owe it to him to, like, let him go play somewhere else. And then I'm literally begging Tobias Harris to come. And then
Tobias, come to Utah.
And then I'm calling,
Please.
Maybe Todd Peterson, Josh James,
And
Ryan Smith, James Clark, some of these guys, just give them a couple % of your company.
Right.
Come on. Like, let's just
And
sweeten
stop
the
being selfish.
Like, just give them 2 or 3% so we can.
It'll make your arena more valuable. Your suites more valuable.
Yeah, let's just put a little cherry on top, push them through, and we can get this deal done.
Right.
I love it.
That's really funny. Well, we do need Division I hockey in college here. So there is a school that wants it, and the NHL is willing to put money towards the study for it. So I'm just saying.
All right.
I mean, money is involved, of course. Way too much for my blood. But that'd be your end with the NHL. There's no true D1 hockey program here, which is crazy. But
I'm going to have to be sold a little more on that one.
Fine. Whatever.
Okay. Vess, to wrap up, I want to know what you're reading or listening to right now.
Where's my phone? Let's look.
Are you a reader or a listener? An Audible guy or a?
I'm a both.
Both. Gotcha.
So the book I'm reading right now is actually about President Nelson. There's a new book out about him. Sherry Dew wrote it, and it is incredible. It's like awesome to think, like the things that he like learned on the fly while performing heart surgery. Like heaven is distilling knowledge on him, and he's operating on Spencer Kimball at age 71, doing a procedure that's never been done that he said he shouldn't do. And Harold B. Lee says, no, do it. So he says, fine, I'll do it. And then President Kimball lives for many, many years after that. So I'm reading that one. I'm listening to, let me check my Audible account right now. Now that my wife's sharing my Audible account, I'm kind of embarrassed because I've got
all she has is Rachel Hollis on there.
I've got Michelle Obama's book now and
so over her.
Mrs. Piggly Wiggle.
Man.
So Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. I'm listening to.
Have you read that one, Cam?
That's one of the three that I like.
Okay.
Like I read books all at the same time. It just depends on my mood in the morning.
The Hard Thing About Hard Things. I'm listening to that one. First Family Detail was super interesting. It's about Secret Service interactions with various presidents.
First Family Detail.
First Family Detail. A great book on negotiation. Never Split the Difference.
So good.
Read that one recently. Pretty much any Navy SEAL book I'm reading or have read. So there's a few.
Cool.
I just started listening to. I didn't know Marcus Luttrell had a podcast.
Oh.
I just started listeing to that.
Yeah,
it's pretty interesting.
He came and spoke at Aptive once.
Really?
Yeah.
Who catered it? Just
kidding. I'm like, I was thinking,
it sounds like I'm glad that we're friends now. That's
actually
awesome.
Bam Bam has catered at Aptive a few
really?
times.
I'll make sure to tell Annie to let me know when that happens.
Yep.
Yeah, the first time I fed a celebrity was with Altera.
Really?
I was only like 2 years in. We fed. You guys did like an Imagine Dragons.
Oh yes, you're right.
So I did like the VIP room over at Altera. Like that's where I met Paul for the first time, and so that was pretty cool. I was trying to remember that book I was talking about earlier.
Who's the favorite?
Oh, you are a badass. That's what it is. By Jen Sincero.
You just read the title over and over, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. It's just like what a great title. It is so funny. Anyway,
who's the coolest person you brought to Aptive?
Oh, Alex Honnold, hands down.
Was he good?
Incredible. Like
I became so fascinated with his story.
Yeah, so I mean, him talking to the company was awesome. I found myself with him for about an hour, just him and I really admire how black and white the world is to him. He simplifies everything. It was funny when his driver dropped him off, we call him like, Alex, where are you? He's like, I'm in the back of the building, and he had this like old sweatshirt on with this tattered backpack with a hood on. I kind of felt like I was like walking up on someone that didn't have a place to live. Maybe it spent some time outside a lot. Just so unassuming. I said to him, like, you've done what I consider the most incredible human feat in like ever, maybe. Like, what does that feel like?
We need to clarify. Alex Honnold is.
Yes, clarify.
I didn't remember until I just Googled it, but I just watched that documentary.
Yeah.
He's the rock climber, right?
Yes.
That free climbed
El
Capitan. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And
he's an interesting dude.
Very interesting. And honestly, he's much more normal than what that documentary.
That doc made him look like a nut job.
Yeah. He's much more approachable, very, very bright, can talk about a wide range of topics. And it's just when I really think about what he did, I have no words. Like,
just watching it.
And in fact, after being with him, I had regrets for about a week. So I'm like, why didn't I ask him that? Why didn't I ask him that?
Yeah.
Why didn't we talk about that? Is there wind at 2,000 feet? Like, is your body like swaying? And
my gosh,
are you feeling fear? And like the whole thing about his brain, he's like, yeah, Vess, if someone puts a piece of paper in front of me with a picture, I'm not afraid of that when I've climbed Half Dome and El Capitan. So he doesn't necessarily like really agree with the analysis on his brain.
Well, I
as a
love how he
side note.
says there's a different, like his consequence and risk.
Yeah.
He's like, it's not risky. Like, it's not any riskier doing it. It's just the consequence is greater.
Well, and his
Like
whole,
the way he looks at it.
his whole thing was since 2000, I forgot what year, 9. He's like, I just kept expanding my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And so over time, eventually, I had climbed El Capitan because I'd done all of these other climbs. So it wasn't risky to me at that point. So Alex, by far, most interesting person I've spent time with.
What would you say is like the one thing you took from meeting him? Like you walk away with one thing.
Well, one really funny thing is he's at this kickoff meeting. He's sitting next to my wife, and at this kickoff meeting, you know, the hoopla. It's only the best people talking, and they're all successful, and
Right.
there's incentives, and there's Teslas on the screen. And he leans over to my wife and he goes, "Hey, is this a Ponzi scheme?"
That's amazing.
But that just shows his personality, right? Like
Is this
he
a
doesn't hold
Ponzi
back.
scheme?
Right.
Is this a Ponzi scheme? My favorite part of the documentary, though, his girlfriend's like talking about carving pumpkins and how it's going to be fun, and he's like, I don't like to be told when I'm going to have fun.
Right.
Like I have fun when I'm having fun.
Exactly right. That's really funny.
But
That's
to answer
good.
your question, it's that idea of just expanding your comfort zone, just pushing a little bit till, you know, eventually if you do it enough, you're comfortable with a much broader range of, you know, circumstances.
So you can totally relate it to your company. I mean, it's the same. It's a carrot, right?
Exactly.
You just kind of keep expanding and keep growing, and so yeah, that's really cool. I wish I was over there for that one. That guy
It was
is-
awesome.
Yeah.
I watched both
You
those
can watch the
climbing
video.
documentaries. What was the other one where he the Dawn Wall?
Don Wall.
Yeah.
Very awesome.
Yeah, and those two kind of teamed up.
Yep, they
like
did.
mapping out his route. I was like, that's Michael Jordan and
Kobe,
I
not
was
LeBron.
I was just gonna say Kobe.
Thank you. Just making
all
sure.
right.
He's
So
a
yeah, we're on the
California
same
boy. You got to
page.
be a Kobe.
It's not. It has nothing to do with that. Kobe's just better.
Exactly.
I'll give it to you.
He's better.
I'll give it
Sorry.
to you.
Thank
He's not
you.
better than Mike though.
No,
No.
I agree with you. I mean, Shaquille's the greatest player to ever play, but you know,
Maybe the most dominant.
most dominant. Anyways,
Vess, dude, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely.
this
This
blew
is-
me away. I very, very pleasantly surprised.
Tiger
This-
did at least.
Well, no,
Tiger
I
bar.
mean, listen. So many people ask me why I get to go do cool things, and it just, I feel like if you're a good person, you work hard, you try your best. It's amazing what things can just come, and I'm sure it's a testament to, I mean, how many people would buy that kind of gift for somebody else? I mean, so that I think that speaks volumes about the person that you are. So
Thank you.
Very, very, very cool story. So yeah, thanks for coming.
Appreciate you, Vess.
Tons of fun.